Hi, I'm going to read you a little bit of Ash and the Faceless Man. This is the second book in the series and it's currently in the People's Book Prize competition in the fiction category. The competition ends at the end of April, so please vote for it. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Contracts. Justin sat at the table reading the newspaper. A shadow passed the back window and he looked up to see a small, slight figure dressed in jeans and a hoodie. Misgivings born of a lifetime of dealings with ne'er-do-wells, criminals and thugs made his first thought one of suspicion, and he watched for a moment before his instincts confirmed what his brain already knew. It was friend, not foe. His adopted daughter, Ashley. He watched the small-for-her-age child as she checked her surroundings like an expert burglar before she finally leaned forward and unlocked the back door. The checks included kicking open the door to the outside toilet to make sure there were no unwelcome callers to deal with, and looking up to the first-story roof to check for hidden assailants. Justin smiled and looked down at his newspaper as though he hadn't noticed her. Ashley entered the house through the back door. He heard her lock the door behind her and check the door was properly secured. Then he heard her click on the kettle. "Ash," Justin called. "That you?" She popped her head through the doorway between the kitchen and the small but functional living room. "You know it's me. I saw you looking," she said. What she lacked for in height and size, she made up for in attitude. Justin grinned. "That's my girl," he said to himself. "What did you say?" Ash called from the kitchen. "I can't hear you over the kettle." "Nothing," he called back, loud enough for her to hear over the noise she created as she made his lunch. "How was school?" She didn't answer his question, and he thought that she hadn't heard it. She went into the living room and placed a small plate of sandwiches and a mug of water on the table before him. She pushed her hood back off her head and stood behind the other chair at the table, opposite Justin. "Thanks, kid," he said. He looked up at her at last, his sandwich forgotten halfway to his mouth. He sat back in his chair. "Bloody hell, kid, what happened to your hair?" Ash rubbed her hand over her scalp and smiled. "I like the sound it makes. Listen," she said. "Deflecting," Justin said in a stern voice. "When did you do that? You looked presentable when you went to school this morning." Ash nodded. "I'll answer your questions if you take your meds," she said, handing him a couple of pills. "Just happened to have them to hand, did you?" he growled. "Yeah, you know," she said. "I figured you'd forget to take them if I didn't remind you." He popped the pills into his mouth and lifted the mug using both hands. She nodded as he controlled the slight tremor in his hands and didn't spill the water. He gulped at the water and struggled not to cough. Ash moved forward to help. He stopped drinking and glared at her over the lip of the mug. She backed off and stood up straight. "Okay," she said. "I was only going to help if it looked like you were drowning." Justin placed the mug on the table and stretched his neck to help the tablets go down. He swallowed again. Once he was comfortable, he leaned back in his chair and sighed. "What did you do with your hair? And why? Not to mention when." Ash placed one finger on her lips and winked. "I'm in disguise," she said. Justin closed his eyes in a slow blink. The kind of blink a cat will make when sitting in its favourite place, warm, safe and cosy. But Justin's slow blink conveyed everything in opposition to the serenity of a contented, relaxed cat. Ash's smile wavered and disappeared. When Justin opened his eyes, her expression had changed from cocky to contrite. "What did you do?" he said, "and how many favours am I going to have to call in?" Ash's mood lifted. "None," she said, her face brightening in a grin. "None of your favours. I have my own stash, but I do need you to write a letter to say I was at the dentist this morning." Justin's expression went from weary to stern again. "You don't use your favour stash on frivolities," he said. "The longer you can keep them, the more valuable they become." "I know that," she said. She pulled out the chair and sat down at the table. "I didn't use any of my favours. In fact, I actually gained a few." Justin pinched the bridge of his nose. his eyebrows raised, and to Ash he looked suddenly tired. "Go on," he said. "Explain it to me like I'm 5 years old." That's the first part of the first chapter of my second book. I'm very proud of it.